going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's kind of a cloudy but warm day here in North Alabama at Southeast Vintage, and I've been on the road for the last 8 hours, and have I got a surprise for you. Look what fell into the back of my truck. A classic class of 1971 Honda CL350. And I'm here to tell you, this thing might be a little dirty, but aside from missing the rear fender, this is a really good example. And I think this is going to run, so we're going to do a will it run on this bad boy today. But before we do that, let me go ahead and get it pulled off the truck and give it a quick little Alabama detailing, and I'll see you back in the shop. All right, guys, got her all cleaned up. And again, if you've watched more than one of my videos, you know you're not going to get away without a close look at this bad boy. So just don't get weird on me. Don't leave the video. I'm going to make this quick, and we're going to get this thing running. But I just could not show you this. This thing is just mint. $9,000 miles on the original gauges, in very good shape. And I'm sure you already noticed that it's missing a few parts. That muffler is kind of a hybrid of the original and some aftermarket mufflers. These always go bad on these, and that's if you can find a complete muffler setup for one of these, you're looking at $600-700. So if it had to be like that, I'm glad it's this way, because that doesn't look too bad. But got the original key. Was missing the points cover, missing the stator cover. These are all items that were missing when I got it. It's missing both the air cleaner side covers. Those are easy to get. Obviously, it's missing the rear fender. The seats, it's a good rider quality seat. It's starting to separate a bit at the seams right in here, but if I needed something to just ride and it wasn't a showpiece, that'd be more than adequate. Again, missing the air cleaner side cover over here. And yeah, if you notice, it's missing spark plugs. I've been wrenching on it already a little bit. But that tank, I only found a couple small dings in the tank, but I'd ride it just like this. But that's just the way I kind of like things. And then the inside of that tank, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I'll open it up for you. I had to break into this too, so we're going to have to get a new setup for that lid. But if you look in there, that tank is just mint. And if you were to look up in the dictionary for a picture of the inside of a new old stock 1971 CL350 gas tank, you're going to see a picture of this gas tank. That's how nice that is. All right, so let's get down to business and see if we can get this thing running. All right, guys, let's get down to business here. It's time to see if this thing will run. It's the usual deal, right? Fuel, air, spark, and Richard. Fuel, air, spark, and compression. I already know it's got good compression. I kicked it over quite a few times with the spark plugs in, and she kicks good and hard. So she's got good compression. One more thing, easily overlooked, is oil. I never thought to check the oil in this. Why would I? But I checked the oil and there was none. So whoever put this away, whenever they put it away, drain the oil out. Hopefully that's not a bad thing. I've had a peek down inside the cylinders and they look good, so we'll hope for the best there. So first thing I did was I checked for spark, and this is a bike that requires a battery to produce spark. So it does not have an ignition stator coil, so you must have a good battery in the bike for it to make spark. So I got some stuff rigged up with the battery and she had no spark. So next thing I needed to do was check to see if I had power to the coil. actually coils. It has 2 coils. So that was a very, very long, drawn-out process of troubleshooting. But let me just kind of show you what I did to figure out if I had power to the coils and how I troubleshot that issue. I've already done it all, but I'm going to walk you through it anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to pop this tank off of here. And to do that, of course, the seat's got to be up. So underneath the seat here, let me get my get you a little bit of light so you can see what I'm looking at. So as you can see, I've kind of, I guess, scabbed in a smaller battery that I took off of one of my other bikes. But the first thing I found was that this fuse right here was blown. So I did the right thing. I took the blown fuse out and I bypassed it with a pretty heavy gauge piece of wire that's guaranteed not to blow no matter what. But as you can see, I've got everything pretty much scabbed in there. And it's a functioning setup for the purposes of this, but obviously that's not how you're going to want to ride the bike. Let me just slip the tank off here real quick. So the power to your coils it comes through this black wire with the white stripe, and then you see there's 2 black wires coming out of that connection with a white stripe. The 2 black wires go to each coil. So what I did was I disconnected those and I applied 12 volts of power directly to those lines that feed the coil, and lo and behold, I had power at the points, which is where I wanted it. Still didn't have spark. We'll get into that later. So at that point, I'm going through a process here, and it's like, well, the power that comes in here actually runs through your kill switch. So if that kill switch is bad or shorted, you will not have electricity going to the coils. So next thing I did was I checked out the ignition switch. And when you turn your ignition switch to the first position on, it energizes the entire system and provides power up through to this switch. And when it's in the on position, that power keeps going right back down into the coils. When you turn this off, it cuts the power off. So just to get sidetracked here a little bit, that's a good way if you want to, like you're troubleshooting your electrical system, you got something going on with your lights. You want to leave the key on, but you don't want to fry your coils or overheat them because you've got power applied. Just flip that switch off and it'll cut the power to the coils, but you'll still have power to everything else on the bike. So at this point, I'm suspecting that it's the ignition switch is not providing power to the system. So your main connector here, this is it for the ignition switch. I opened that up and it was extremely corroded, and I mean like electrical corrosion. So I spent quite a bit of time cleaning that up with some electrical cleaner and got everything whipped into shape. And at that point, when I turned the key on, I had power going to the coils and I had power down at the points. So now I'm trying to figure out, why don't I have spark? So I got to watching my points as I was cranking it over, and they weren't opening at all. They weren't moving at all. And that kind of explains the whole, this points cover was missing when I bought this bike. So somebody had been in here screwing around and obviously got in way over their head or just never finished it. I don't know exactly what was going on, because the other thing was that the starter solenoid was missing. So we don't have electric start right now. I've got a solenoid I could have threw on there, but I figured we'll just kick start it for this video. So the next thing we're going to have to do now is, because those points weren't moving, we need to set the points or set the timing. And this is a little bit different than if like you're working on a lawnmower or CT70. We're actually going to set timing here. So let me get set up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're down here in the points. This is a twin cylinder. There's 2 sets of points. So because this cover was off, the first thing I did was I went ahead and I cleaned up the points. I've got a little file I use for this, and basically just stick them in there. Make sure you don't have your power turned on when you're doing this, and just give them a couple of these And you don't have to get super aggressive. I've talked about this in other videos. Sometimes these points get a little glazed over, and you just got to clean them up. It's normal. You can use sandpaper too. You can even use a fingernail file if that's all you had. But so got the points cleaned up. I know those are good. So the next thing that we want to know is, is there power going to these points? Because that's what's ultimately giving you your spark. So this is where a test light comes in handy. And I've got I'm going to have to put the red finger away so I don't have three hands. What we're going to do is we're going to connect to this screw on the points. And if you see this metal piece here, that's ground. So stay away from that. That's not going to do you any good. So we got a good clean connection there. And then we're just going to ground out our test probe. And you see we have nothing, right? So turn the key on. We still have nothing. You know why? Because those points are closed. Watch that. See that? There we go. So we got power. So the next thing we're going to have to do is we need to set these points or set the timing. And put away your feeler gauges because you're not going to need them. There's this backing plate, this advancing plate has a little area here where you can actually adjust it. And the way you adjust that is you loosen these two big screws here. And if you look close to those screws, you can see somebody's already been walling around in them without GIS screwdrivers. But what I like to do is loosen these up and set this just dead center here. And then lock her down and forget about that. Because we're going to set the timing by adjusting the position of the actual points. So if you look down here at I call this the rotor. This is your lighting or electrical stator. This is not an ignition stator. This does not have an ignition stator, hence the reason you need a battery. There's a timing mark here on this coil, and I've put a little bit of, let me just throw some light down there. I've put a little bit of red paint on that so you can see the mark. And then on your rotor here, you've got an LF for left fire, which is this cylinder, the one on this side. And you have a F, and that's your right side cylinder. So what you want to do is when this comes around at top dead center or on the compression stroke, as soon as that LF line for the left side lines up with that mark, you want that light to turn on at exactly that time. And by the way, these are your left points here. And it's actually marked L and R. So the easiest way to figure out if you're on top dead center is to roll this around and put your finger in here and feel for compression. I've already got this kind of set up ahead of time, and so you can see what I'm doing. And by the way, when you do this is counterclockwise. You turn it with a 14 millimeter wrench or socket, your choice. Do not throw an impact on this bolt right here. This doesn't stay happy for very long when you do this. This isn't like some of the smaller engines where you can even start them from that. So as you bring this around, did you hear that? That means that we are on the compression stroke. Listen closely. Okay, so at this point, we're going to come back and we're going to leave this LF, which is left fire mark, back a bit from our timing mark, and we're going to hook our test light back up, and I'm going to show you. I've already set this side. I'm going to show you what that looks like when it's working properly. Okay, as you can see, we have nothing. Key is to the on position. We have a good battery. My neutral light works up in the gauges, so I like to check that to make sure that I actually have juice. But I'm gonna bring this around and watch as this line lines up with this. Watch this test light turn on. See that? Perfect. That's perfect. The left side points are now set. So at this point, what we're going to do is we need to do the exact same thing over on the right hand cylinder. And I'm not going to bore you with that process. I'm going to bring her up to top dead center. Once I get to the point of adjusting those points, I'll show you how that works. All right, guys, got you rolled back around here. We're going to do the right-hand side now. I've got her sitting at top dead center. Check that we're on the compression stroke. Got power at the points, and just to show you. So we're about to come up on the F mark for the right-hand side, and if these points were set correctly, as you see that approach the mark, the points should open and the light comes on, and it does not. So someone's been in here screwing around with this. Who knows? Maybe they got them 180 out. I don't know. But at this point, we're going to adjust the position of the points, because what happens is when these points break open, that's when it fires. So that's what's causing the light to come on. So this is pretty easy. There's 2 flathead screws here. Well, heck, that one wasn't even tight. And I'm not lying to you. I have not pre-gamed this at all. That wasn't even tight. So get those loosened up, and well, look at that, neither was that. So there's no doubt in my mind that someone has been in here messing around. So again, we need to keep this F mark for the right side, just about to come up on the timing mark, and there's a little bump sticking out right there, and then this little tab. You can use that to adjust the position of the points. See that? See how they moved? Okay, so in this case, I think we're going to go the other direction, because I need those open, not closed. So I'm just going to just barely snug those up so I can test this real quick and see where we're at. This is kind of a back and forth process here. Oh, so look at there. We're already, so we've got them open too early because we haven't even hit the mark yet, and we've already got light. So let me make just a small adjustment to that. And that's how this goes, right? So, okay, no light. Let me bring this up around to the mark. Let's see how close I got to getting that right. Pretty darn close. It's just a little late. Just a hair late. So let me tweak that just a bit. I just made a very, very small adjustment there, and let's see what happens now. We're coming up on the mark. Oh, there now we're way late. So you see just the slightest amount there. So we'll just keep working it. See how that goes. I took it the wrong way. See, that was on me. Let me back it up. Go about right there. Now shoot, now it's already on. Okay, we're gonna try this different. Get this turned off. Okay. Oh, still a little early. I know this seems like a tedious process, but let me tell you, you get this set right, your bike's going to run so much better. It was just a hair late. I think I moved it too much that time. A little early, a little early. Now we're late. Let me get this dialed in off camera, and then I'll show you the final results. All right, guys, got this dialed in finally. So if you come down here and you look on the F mark and the timing mark, she's spot on now. Watch your light as we come up and approach the timing mark. There it goes. Okay, so we're good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and turn the key off so I don't cook the coils anymore. At this point, I already know we have spark on the left cylinder. Checked that earlier. What I don't know, well, what I last knew was that we didn't have spark on the right cylinder. So now let's go see if we got spark on that side. Wish me luck. Okay, so if you get down in here and you watch this, you want to ground your spark plug out. I highly recommend holding it by the insulated portion and turn your key on. Oh, Richie's making noise back there. And I'm going to kick her over and let's see what we got. We have spark. I don't know if you can see that, but I can. Okay, we got spark on both sides. I guess at this point it's time to slap the gas tank back on and provide the fuel and air, and we're going to find out if this thing will start. And again, I haven't pre-gamed any of this. I have no idea if it's going to start or not. I just know what I've done to get to this point. So let me do all that real quick and I'll bring you back in and we'll get this thing running. All right guys, here we go. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. So just full disclosure, I have not touched these carburetors. I just fueled things up. Had a couple issues with sticking floats, not surprising. But we're gonna send it and see if we can get this thing to bark off. I've got the choke on, key on, half power, kill switch on. And let's see what happens here. Nothing. Take that choke off. I heard something. Oh. It's alive! Guess we have the answer to the question. I'm pretty surprised. But did you hear how crisp that thing sounds? I mean, who knows how long this has been asleep? I'd say probably 20, 30 years. And she fired right up with the kickstart. And I'll tell you what, I like the way that exhaust sounds. So we may have to do a couple more videos on this, obviously, and get her on the road. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to close this out. I'm a little excited right now, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.